Hello, this is Bruno pelletier-bacquaert. On today's vlog, I would like to discuss a question that comes up quite often, either in the commentaries or a question that people ask me on the side. And this is essentially after they see some of my videos on my YouTube channel. The question is, am I left-handed? Am I left-handed? Am I right-handed? Am I ambidextrous or what? So I know some of those people are asking the question in jest because they figured out, it's not that hard, that some of the videos are flipped around. If you, I guess the big hint would be if you look at the Gibson headstock, no, when I play my 335, it doesn't say Gibson, it says, what is it, Nos Big? Big nose, right, Nos Big. So yeah, obviously it is flipped around. So yes, I am left-handed, and yes, I do flip some of my videos around. Not all videos, I only really mind about the instructional videos. Why is that? Well, simply because for an instructional video, if you are used to watching other videos and people playing quote unquote the right way, you don't get confused by seeing something that's just turned around. If you're used to seeing yourself in a mirror, maybe you don't have that problem too much. But if you compare to other instructional videos that you're watching currently on YouTube, something that when you see a left-handed player, it really stands out, and it could be confusing because you have to make that mental adjustment and try to understand how things are backwards. I have to say that in all the decades now that I've been teaching, it's never been an issue in a classroom situation or in a private lesson situation. But on the screen, watching a video, again, it could be a concern. So this is why I do it. It's not because I'm trying to hide the fact that I am left-handed. It's simply that I'm trying to make it easier on everybody else, trying to follow what I'm doing. So that's that. Well, on the topic of left-handed, another sub question that comes out is, should someone learn to play left-handed if they are complete beginners and they really are at a point where it possibly would make no difference if they were trying to learn the other way? So that's a big question. People often wonder about that. Is it actually imperative, if you write with your left hand and if you do other things or most things left-handed, should you be playing the guitar left-handed? So my answer is going to be no. If you can, if it is early enough in the game, do not try to learn lefty. It's just not a good idea. You should play like everybody else, right-handed. And it's not, I'm pretty convinced that it's not going to traumatize you or a kid. That's, every now and then people ask me that about their kids. They'll say, oh, my kid is left-handed. Should I buy him a lefty guitar? And I always say no, and I say I'm qualified to tell you that because I happen to be left-handed myself, and I know what the problem it is. Now, when I say what a problem it is, it really, I don't think, at least I hope so at this point, there's not much I could do about it, but I'm pretty convinced that it doesn't hinder somebody's development as a player. In other words, you're not going to be limited down the road, like technically handicapped, that's what I mean. If you force yourself to play right-handed or if you force yourself to play left-handed. I guess you wouldn't force yourself to play left-handed because it's usually, people usually, left-handed players would usually pick up the guitar backwards, like a lefty. I mean, people like Jimi Hendrix, Paul McCartney, who's the guitar player from Nirvana. His name escapes me, but he was left-handed as well. So that's what I mean by backwards. Now, and that's how I play. I restring the guitar. So in other words, I'm not picking up a right-hand guitar and just holding it backwards and then playing that way. The strings have to be repositioned, and this is again what either McCartney, Hendrix, or the guy from Nirvana were doing or are doing. McCartney is still with us. I might, by the way, let me go on a tangent here. There's this little myth going around about Jimi Hendrix. I've heard numerous times that people claim that Jimi Hendrix could play lefty, righty. He could take any guitar, right-hand guitar, left-hand guitar, and just play. That is a myth. That is a myth. I've seen many pictures and, of course, footage of Jimi Hendrix playing. I've never seen him play a right-hand guitar which did not have the strings flipped around. I don't think he ever had, guitars made left-handed. He certainly could have, ordered lefty guitars. I mean, he was well known enough, and people were, manufacturing left-hand guitars back then. But for whatever reason, he always played a right-hand guitar with the strings flipped around. And that's why he has this sort of strange hand position, because the knobs get in the way, right? So it works for him, and he probably saw no reason to get a factory lefty guitar. But again, that is a myth. All the guitars that I've always seen him with always had the strings turned around. So let's put that one to rest. Okay, so why am I saying that if you have a kid who's trying to learn a guitar, or if you yourself are considering learning the guitar and you are left-handed and you are wondering if you should be buying a lefty guitar or if you should learn right-handed? So why am I saying it's a problem to be left-handed? Well, it's a problem because it's very difficult to locate good quality lefty guitars. If you're looking for, what we call a jazz guitar, like a hollow body guitar, or even a good quality guitar like a 335, Gibson, or basically any guitar that is not a solid body, because you can find plenty of solid body guitars that are left-handed, but there's not that many good arch tops or semi-hollows left-handed. So it's difficult to locate instruments, number one. Number two, you always have to have your own guitar. You can't, show up at a jam session and borrow somebody's guitar. You can't have any guitar you wish to play. Sometimes there's like all those amazing instruments out there, vintage instruments or rare instruments. And it would be nice to get your hands on them and get a feel of, for what it feels like to play them. Well, we can't do that, if we're left-handed. What else is a problem? Another problem is that I personally feel very limited in my knowledge of guitars. What I mean by that is I have not played enough different guitars to really know the subtle differences between, let's say, the different types of woods, or the different types of pickups, or the different types of feels on the guitar, right? So if it's only if you're right-handed that you can walk into a store, whether it's a vintage guitar store or a brand new guitar store, and try out 5, 6, 10 guitars right next to each other and really compare them, or play your friends' guitars and then say, oh, really? Yeah, I like that, or I don't like that, or I prefer this, or I wish I had that. Um, I've been stuck pretty much my whole playing life with whatever guitar or guitars I had. Now, I have a few different guitars, but it's not a huge collection. I don't. It's not like I have 20 guitars around the house, and that's that. So, as a convincing point, I usually bring up the comparison with other instruments. If you well, first of all, think of all the other instruments. Piano. Is there such a thing as a left-handed piano? No, there isn't. How about all those other instruments like clarinet, saxophone, trumpet? They don't have a lefty fingering, or the keys are arranged in such a way that they're not flipped around. You get used to playing your instrument the way it's designed, whether you are left-handed or right-handed. So why is it that there are left-handed guitars available and left-handed electric basses as well? Those are really the only two instruments that you will ever see left-handed. I mean, every now and then you'll see somebody with a restrung violin or an upright bass, but that's pretty rare. And so what's the reason here? Well, I think the reason is that most guitar players happen to be self-taught. And when you are self-taught, you don't have a teacher telling you, oh no, that's not how you hold the instrument. You're holding it backwards. You should put your hands on it this way, not that way. And if we just do it the way we think we should be doing it, then we'll hold it left-handed, and that'll be the end of it. And then we're stuck with playing lefty. On the other hand, if you, no pun intended, if you have a teacher telling you, okay, this is how you hold your violin, or this is how you hold your guitar, or this is how you hold your clarinet, or whatever, then you just learn. Doesn't make any difference. Okay, well, I'm just putting my hands this way, and then I'm learning to play my instrument that way. And this is it. And think of a classical orchestra, like a symphony orchestra. Let me ask you that question. How many of the musicians you see in the orchestra, how many do you think write with their left hand, or are what we consider left-handed people, in their everyday life? I could bet you that a lot of them are. I don't know the exact percentages of left-handed people, but it's probably probably in the ballpark of about 15% of all people might be left-handed. Don't quote me on the numbers, right? But you'll see my point. We often like to hear that left-handed people tend to be more artistically inclined. So we could even maybe raise the number. Instead of 15, might be even 20, or close to 20% of those musicians that you see in that orchestra that write with their left hand, or do most common chores with their left hand. Okay? Now, how many of those musicians in that classical orchestra are you seeing holding a violin left-handed, or the bass left-handed, or the cello left-handed? How many? None. Zero. Never. Ever. Never. You'll never see a left-handed musician in an orchestra. So doesn't it tell you that even though all those players were left-handed as individuals, they somehow managed not only to learn their instrument right-handed, but also to be rather proficient on it, because they're virtuosos. I mean, if they're playing in those high caliber orchestras, it means they can really play, right? So they were not, nothing was holding them back technically, because they were learning, the other way, right? So that hopefully should be the selling argument, the selling point here. I think if we, provided that we start early enough, meaning like honestly at the very, very, very beginning, like day 1 or 2, right, at the most, of learning your instrument, go directly to playing right-handed, and I think I can almost say that you'll thank me later, or your kids will. Okay, it's not the end of the world being left-handed. I'm not saying I'm cursed, but I think every now and then I really, think about it and think, gee, I wish I had somebody telling me early on to play right-handed. Okay, so this is it. I'm sure I'll get some responses on this because it can be a sensitive topic with some people. So go ahead, feel free. Feel free to write or comment. All right, so that's it for today. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.